All right, everybody. Big game, big win. Darren Rizzi has arrived. He's been here for a while, but he is apparently that guy, and we were just unaware. We weren't really unaware. We knew Darren Rizzi had a little bit of a swagger to his walk and stuff like that. He's been for head coaching contention for a little while now. Miami first, Saints second, and then Dennis Allen got the job, and he stayed around. But still great to see him get a win, his first game in. So that is amazing. And I love to see that he is getting some recognition as well. That's really good to see. The players respect him. I think that's huge. I think that's important. I don't think that you can really, go any other direction than these guys really like him, and there's no doubt about that. There was questions that I even had throughout the season with Dennis Allen this year, last year, wherever it may be. That at what point is it kind of shocked me sometimes that Dennis Allen still had the locker room just because it didn't quite feel like he should. Especially with some of the things that he said or did, it just didn't quite line up. But yeah, Rizzi he's energetic. He's up and down the sideline. He doesn't really take a play off, which is great to see from your head coach. I think it's important that um, you know that's just I think that's just Darren Rizzi. He's a little crazy. People were posting some pictures. The broadcast even kind of showed his facial expressions and stuff like that. But like I said pregame, I feel like Darren Rizzi just fits the Saints a little bit better. Not a little bit, a lot better, definitely a lot better. He's passionate. I don't know. I just so far I love the guy. Obviously, I think you have to do your due diligence in your coaching search, but he's been considered for coaching positions before, so it wouldn't be crazy to consider him for the job now. Which I think is important that he's in contention, right? That's all that matters. It's not really an instance like Dennis Allen was, where it was kind of like he's the option because he's here. I think Darren Rizzi brings something that, frankly, other guys really don't, and I think that's probably more important than a lot of things, because I just feel like um, he he just speaks to these players better. I think the only dilemma that you have with Darren Rizzi possibly getting the job is the fact that Darren Rizzi, the guys that respect him right now, may not be the same guys on the Saints team in a couple of months here. So I think that's important to consider. When you're going forward with the head coaching search, you just have to do your due diligence, and it's exciting to see him win. I think it's going to be an exciting rest of season. Like I said, I don't hope the Saints will win, or I try not to hope the Saints will lose, especially, I don't want to become a tank team, but I have we beat the Falcons. That's number one. It's exciting, and Darren Rizzi, um, he was critical of a situation where Dennis Allen punted on the 40 when the game was kind of on the line, and he kind of did the same thing, and I was kind of shocked, and it almost bit him because almost immediately you had the penalty, right? But eventually the defense came through, which I think just again speaks to how these guys are out here playing for him. And that's, I think, more important than anything, because if you don't believe what you're doing, then stop doing it, right? Because these guys are out there fighting for him, and I think that's where um, that comes from. The defense kind of didn't do a lot of good things in the most recent couple of games in the end there, but today they showed up and balled out and um, made it happen. So I think that's important, and I think that's exactly what we saw, and I love to see it, because I think no matter how the rest of the season goes, these guys needed something, right? Saints fans, we needed something, but that team needed something as well. Um, and really, we tweeted it during the game, and I'll say it again. Younghoe Koo likes Darren Rizzi a lot. That's a hell of a kicker, and he went 1 for 4 today. So do it for Rizzi, I guess, on both sides of the ball. But hopping into some more detailed things, one thing that I think I noticed right off the bat was Taysom Hill only had 4 carries, 2 catches. He didn't feel as involved in the offense today, which I'm not necessarily mad at. Obviously, we all want to see Taysom Hill be great, but I think, not writing so much of your offense in the book of Taysom, um, I just I like that. I think early in the season our offense went stale when Taysom went out. So I like not leaning heavily into Taysom. It's definitely, I think, more ideal than, just running him into the ground, getting him hurt. I think just because of the way he plays the game and stuff like that, I think people forget that he's 34 years old. I don't really think that he should be getting the ball every other play or something like that. So love to see that they involved him, but he wasn't the offense. And even though AK didn't have nearly as big as a game as he had, a couple of weeks ago, he was still, 109 all-purpose yards. So that's really great to see. Jordan Mims looked great in the absence of, whenever we did need to give AK some rest. So that's good to see as well. So Carr definitely looked more comfortable today. Obviously, could have had an even better game, but I think 16 for 25, almost 300 yards. I can't remember if it was 260 or 280 or something like that, but 2 touchdowns, and he had that the fumble that he didn't lose, but I just think it's a lot there, and you take Kirk Cousins, who's had a heck of a season so far with them, and you give him 2 fumbles. That again they recovered, but you still forced 2 fumbles on him, 1 interception, and 3 sacks. Meanwhile, Derek Carr was sacked 0 times. I don't know what happened there, but you'll take it, right? You have to take that with a grain of salt because it's a small sample size. It could have been a pure energy thing. These guys are out there playing, but I think one thing to note too. Again, when the rookie Talise went down, they showed Darren Rizzi on the sideline. He was amping some offensive linemen up, and that's something that I think bodes well for this team. We're winning on vibes, right? And I'm okay with it. So the other big thing is the defense stepped up. Like I said earlier, that we've seen a lot of games where the defense lost the game, penalties and stuff like that, and just bonehead penalties most of the time. Like especially the one Alante at the end there. Like you had great coverage on him, and for some, I don't know if he thought the play was over or what, but that was just a really, really interesting decision for Alante. A couple penalties on Alante, but I'm still, in boat, don't play with Alante. I think he's a heck of a corner. I think he's going to continue to be a heck of a corner, and I think that, he's going to have to ease back into that position as like, CB1, because he wasn't for a while. He was playing around the line of scrimmage, playing more nickel style, corner and stuff like that. So, I think it makes a lot of sense that he did kind of struggle today, but I think he's also going to bounce back and figure out, how to play the position again. He's a heck of an athlete, heck of a player, and I think he was just kind of caught out of position a little bit today because of the absence that he's had in that role. Because you had Marshawn and Paulson Adebo playing great in those roles, so. That should be interesting to see how Alante progresses there. But either way, the defense definitely stepped up today, holding the Atlanta Falcons only to 17 points. Obviously, Younghoe Koo had something to do with that as well. But 17 points, their only touchdowns came from Bijan, who did have a very good game. But, Robinson's been having good games all year. I think they said this was his 5th consecutive game with over 100 yards. So he's obviously having a great year. But still the defense stepping up, forcing 2 fumbles that were recovered by the Falcons and getting an interception late in the game, 3 sacks for 19 yards. It felt like the defense kind of, found a little bit of footing today that hopefully they can carry on forward into a new, new breath of life into this defense. But the other big thing is Alvin Kamara is the Saints' leading rusher. which is great to see AK get that. He passed up Mark Ingram, who we used to have whatever you wanted to call him, thunder and lightning, boom, and whatever it was. Ingram was kind of his mentor when he came into the league, and AK has now surpassed him for the all-time leading rusher for the Saints. So congratulations to Alvin Kamara on that one. And that's kind of the post game today. There's not a whole lot else. I think the 7-game losing streak is ended. Thankfully, we didn't extend it to 8. We also beat the Falcons, which is our biggest rival. So if we had to end the streak against anybody, I'm glad it was them. And it's just the team looked better, and I think that's what really matters more than anything, because when you look at previous games on that losing streak, a lot of penalties for a lot of yards through a lot of those games, and today the team still had a lot of penalties, but it didn't feel like they were as crucial or hurt as because we made up for them. So good to see that kind of turnaround as well. Obviously, there's still some things to clean up, especially with Alante having 3 pass interference. I think it was 2 pass interferences and a hold. That's something you got to look at. But again, I think it's just because Alante's playing essentially out of position right now, right? He was kind of used to playing a different style of corner. And now you're asking him to go back to that, guard the best guy on the other team receiver role. So, I think he'll shape up to be a lot better in that role as things go forward. So, other big thing around the league here, we have the NFC South. Obviously, again, I don't know how much we're vying for a position there, but Carolina Panthers did beat the New York Giants 20-17, same score as the Saints. So, we're both in that last place position as far as all things are concerned. Buccaneers lost to the Chiefs, no, 49ers, I'm sorry, 23-20. And then obviously the Falcons lost to the Saints today. That was the game that we went for there. So, great to see. I think, the Saints are, in the right direction. I don't know how many games we want to see him win, want that draft pick and all of those things. But either way, great to see Rizzy get one. I'd love to see him get a couple of more, but also kind of vie for a draft pick. And again, he deserves a chance at head coach, but, I don't think it should be handed to him. You still have to do your due diligence and make sure you're moving this team forward. And heck, even if you think he's the right guy, and he's willing to also kind of be the, go down with the ship just to come out on the other side, like burn it down and build it back up like a phoenix. Darren Rizzi could be that guy. He's got the energy to make guys play really good, no matter, who's on the roster. He's an energy guy and he's a special teams guru. So I think that also makes him a little more unique than, a guy with offense or defense. But I also think he's smart enough to know that he needs guys around him that are going to be better than him at those things, right? So you hire a good defensive coordinator, hang on to the offensive coordinator you got, and go be great. But like I said, that'll kind of be it for the post-game show. Darren Rizzi beat the Atlanta Falcons, didn't apologize for it. That's all that matters. We'll catch you next week. We'll be here rest of the season, as it said before, no matter what, win, lose, or draw, how bad the team looks, we'll be here. Hope to see you guys. Check in. Make sure you check out the website, www.theknow.com, and make sure you check out our socials everywhere at Be in the Know, and as well as our flagship podcast slash partner over there, Brew Brothers, formerly Who Effing Knows. Check them out as well, and check out That Saints podcast. And if you're a basketball fan, stay tuned because we've got plenty of basketball content as well. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.